Hi everyone, thank you for joining me in yet another session of uh, Confidence at Workplace with Sneha Sharma, the coach. I am highly excited. So, if you're watching me live on Creator Club or on LinkedIn or on YouTube, do drop a comment. You can see me and you can hear me so that we can quickly take this session forward. So today we are going to talk about something which is very, very crucial, and that is assertiveness at workplace. And I understand that this is not a very, you know, understandable term. Many of us confuse it with many other terms, and I'm going to help you clear out all those confusions today. And I hope you will be able to take it to the next level. So if I'm audible to you, if you can see me and everything is good, do drop a comment so that I know that we are connected and good to start. Hey Jay, thank you for the confirmation. So I hope I am audible and visible, right? Thanks. Thank you for the confirmation. Excellent. All right. So, hi Kiran, thank you for joining. So we're going to wait for another 1 minute and we're going to take this session forward. So hi Sharmila, thank you for joining in. So all those who have joined me today, thank you for being here. I hope to add some tremendous value in next 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to keep it short, crisp, and to the point. Okay. So I've kept this series of sessions where we're going to talk about how do you build confidence at workplace, because I think everything that you do in life comes out of the confidence that you carry. So if you carry yourself well, that is the only time when things are going to go in your favor. Okay. So today we are going to see the role of assertiveness in communication. Okay. So before I take this forward, let me quickly, tell you a bit about why assertiveness is something that I've picked up for today's session. So assertiveness is basically a very common term, and it is a basically form of communication. It's a behavior that we have, and it is when, as an individual, you are able to express your feelings, able to express your personal needs in a direct and respectful manner, is when you are called that you are following assertive communication. Okay. So when we talk about a communication spectrum, there are usually three extremes or two extremes to this. One is your aggressive behavior, the other one is your passive behavior. So somewhere in the middle is what you find assertiveness, right? So your aggressive communication occurs when a speaker is only concerned about what he or she is feeling, his or her own perspective, her own goals. They exhibit aggression in their behavior, and their intention is to accomplish their goals. They don't worry about the long term negative consequences. Nothing. The only voice they hear is themselves, and apart from that, anything which comes to them, they just throw it out. So we find these kind of people around us, or these kind of behaviors around us. So that is the aggressiveness. The second type of behaviors that we find are the passive behaviors. Passive communication occurs when, as an individual, you are not able to voice your own perspective, your own feelings, your own needs. You're not able to speak up to them. So unlike the aggressive ones, the passive communicators are, they are the people who will not be using their communication much, but they would be sidelining themselves from the mainstream because they are not able to aggressively or assertively present themselves. So you will find these people usually in a very sad, gloomy, helplessness, tensed kind of a state, because they have their needs but they're not able to speak up. Okay. So these are the two extremes, and any of the two extremes are not good. What we want is assertive communication. Okay. So now we're going to start with assertive communication. So your assertive communication is your ability to directly state your feelings, your needs in a helpful manner. Okay. So whatever you're feeling, anything that you're going through, some problem that you're facing, when you are able to present that without any attaching any aggression to it or any negative feeling for yourself to it, that is when it becomes a assertive form of communication. All right. So in order to have assertive communication, like I said, confidence usually, to me, confidence comes from two things. I repeat this in every session. Confidence comes from content and clarity. Okay. You need to know what you want to say, and you need to know why you're saying it. So if you're clear with your content and you have the clarity over it, you will be a confident person. And in order to be assertive in your communication, you need to be clear. Clear in what? Clear in communicating in the most possible straightforward manner, that what are your thoughts and feelings? No dressing up, straight what you want to say. But at the same time, you have to be courteous, which goes on to say assertiveness would never have a negative impact on somebody. If I am assertive in nature, if my communication style is assertive, my words would show my respect for myself and for others, right? And number three, you have to be consistent. You need to be knowing and supporting yourself every moment. So this as a whole, what basically, assertiveness revolves around. Now, to bring you more clarity on this, let me give you a couple of examples. Okay. So if we talk about body language, which is a very, very crucial part of, our communication skills. So if some person is continuously, keeping his arms folded, or is, trying to have a very closed body language, this is not an assertive body language. This shows the person's aggression, because he wants to show that I am not liking what you're saying. So that is another way to judge whether the person is showing assertive behavior or aggressive behavior. People keep fidgeting with things. Okay, they hold a pen and they keep moving that pen. That is nervousness. So nervousness fidgeting is again a type of passive behavior that shows that the person is right now showing signs of the passive kind of a behavior. When you have to be, if you want to judge someone through their face and eyes, or you want to judge yourself for that matter, when you try to avoid eye contact, when you try to, give a exaggerated smile to actually hide what you're exactly feeling, that's a passive behavior, because you're not expressing what you're feeling. The other way around, when you look somebody with, very keen eye contact, when you stare at someone, or you're smiling a little bit, that wink smile, or when you clench your teeth, these all are ways through which you communicate. You're very aggressive in your behavior. What would an assertive person do? They would have appropriate smile, which will be a honest smile. They would have a firm but kind expression. They would know what they're doing. They would be very clear with their expression, and they would firmly hold it. It's not that when you look at me, I have one expression, and the moment you look at the other side, my expression changes, because then what am I doing? I am manipulating, right? And I have a very comfortable eye contact. Looking into your eyes, I would not feel nervous. So this is how you can judge whether your behavior is assertive or your behavior is not assertive, right? Same way around, when you speak, when we speak, so when you are speaking very loudly, when you're speaking angrily, when you're speaking abruptly, you're continuously doing that, that's again a way to show that you are showing, just a moment, you're again, that means you're showing something where people are having aggressive behavior, right? The same way around, when you are quiet, when you're hesitant, when you're unclear, and you don't know how to handle yourself, that would again mean a very passion pa- pas, sorry passive behavior. So assertive would mean you would be very firm, you would be very warm. So these are the symbols through which you can judge whether people are showing assertive behavior or whether they are showing aggressive or a negative or a passive behavior. So how and why do I say that you need to have assertiveness at work? Having assertiveness at work is a step which can help you in building your confidence. How? Now let's say you have to go for a meeting. Okay, you are in a meeting. So whether you speak in a meeting or not, it shows what kind of a behavior you have. If you do not speak in a meeting, you have a very evasive body language, you agree with anything and everything that is said in a meeting, that's a passive behavior, because that means you're completely giving in to what everybody else is saying. The other way around, if you always talk over others, you have a very intimidating body language, you have a controlling behavior, you try to raise your pitch while you speak, these are aggressive behaviors. What would a assertive behavior in meetings mean, which will also include a lot of confidence, would mean that you will have a very open body language. You will listen to others and you will present your points very clearly. You will speak directly. You will not, fudge around with words. You will be very clear what you want to say. You would also say when you have to offer an opinion, or you when you have to offer something which is in contrast to what somebody else is saying, you would be very kind enough to respect yourself and the other person. Okay, so when you use your mind and brain, taking into consideration that you respect your own opinion, and then when you present yourself, that is the time we call that you are having a very assertive kind of a behavior. If you look at general conversations, when we are at office, we are generally talking with each other. So you will find that there are few people who would avoid any eye contact. The moment you look at them, they would shift their eyes. Passive behaviors. They are not very confident of looking at you, talking at you, because they are not confident of their own opinion about themselves. The same way around, if somebody continuously stares at you and tries to control everything you do, aggressive behavior. Assertive would mean you would always be very pleasing and pleasant, and you'll be very empathetic in nature. So these things, if you take them as a whole, they would have a huge impact on the way you deal with your colleagues. And if you are assertive in nature, that would mean you respect your opinion. That would mean you know what is your content, what is it that makes of you, what is your why, what are you doing, why you're doing, and that is why you're confident about it. So assertiveness and confidence are very, very closely related. Okay. And that is why usually we say that in assertiveness, you take the ownership of your life. Okay. So you use I statements, and you use I statements without blaming others. Okay. For example, let's say your boss, shouted at you, or somebody let you down. So instead of saying that XYZ, you hurt me, you would say, I feel hurt. Okay, so you acknowledge that you felt hurt, you are acknowledging your feelings, but at the same time, you're not pulling the other person down for what he did. Okay, so it is a difficult road to manage, but if we understand how it has to be done, it acts as a huge way of managing yourself. Okay, so that is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is, let's say, criticism is one thing which we all face at workplace a lot, and we are not very sure how to take it in an assertive manner. So when you're trying to take criticism, when you're running a team, people can have different opinions. So how will you be assertive? Number one, you need to be assertive, which means you need to know what you have suggested, you have clarity about that. Okay, so if you agree to what everyone else is saying, you presented a project and somebody picked up three errors, and you said, all these three errors that you're suggesting are to be taken care of. You're not being assertive. That means you have completely given out to what the person had to say. That is passive behavior. Yes, if the errors are correct, addressing them is one aspect, but without putting any of your mind, simply giving into what they are presenting, that is against the assertive behaviors. Then if you say that instead of somebody's presenting you a point, and you simply say that I don't think what you're suggesting is logical, I have so many years of experience, when you flaunt or you blab about yourself, that is aggressive. What should you say? Assertive would mean you can simply ask, does anyone have any concerns? Do you think there are any additions that you would like to make? Because if you look at any of your leaders who are good at, who are at some great places, they're good at managing things. All good leaders are the ones who are very assertive in nature. They would take the holistic nature of everything, and they would take everyone along, right? So being assertive at work brings you a lot of self respect. Okay, because I always say the one who gets insulted deserves to get insulted, because no one in this world can insult you without your permission. The moment somebody starts saying something which doesn't match with you, you exactly know. It's just that you are not able to stand for yourself. You do not have the clarity about what you just spoke, because of which you are being, pinpointed, that you keep quiet. Otherwise, you all would agree that whenever in life you exactly know where you're saying, what you're saying, you would never ever, give out what has to be done, right? So let's have a quick questions that have been put on. And before that, I would also like you to have one more thing in your mind. Many of you would be thinking, okay, how do I know am I being assertive or not? Let me give you a quick questions on that before I take a Q&A on assertiveness at workplace. See, if you're a person who's comfortable to meeting new people at social places, that means you are assertive. Okay, this shows that you have the confidence of on what you carry within, what knowledge you have. So that is a way of judging assertiveness. If you're able to say no to people without feeling guilty or anxious, okay, this is very important. This is very difficult. I think for me, this particular question, I'm not assertive. When I have to say no, I think so many times that what would the other person be feeling? Okay, I start feeling guilty of saying no. So if you also feel guilty of saying no, there is a journey to be, taken up in becoming assertive. So assertiveness would mean that you respect your own opinion, and at the same time you don't feel guilty of letting others know your opinion. Okay, then if you can express your feelings, your strong opinions without any disappointment or frustration, that also means that you are being assertive, because that means you're stable. That means you know what you're seeking and you stand by it. Okay. Then, if you can request help from others about information that they have, that's another way of judging yourself. You're open. Openness is what is assertiveness. Aggressiveness and passiveness, they aggression and passiveness, they both means you're a closed personality. Aggressive would mean I know everything, I don't want to hear anything from you. Passive would mean I don't have the confidence to even speak up if I know anything. Okay, so when you have an open personality, when you're open to talk, open to discuss, that is the time that we will be, moving towards the assertive behavior. And honestly, in a day, every personality will keep moving from assertiveness to aggression to passiveness. This will keep on happening. That's the behavior. It's a type of behavior. It will keep changing based on different circumstances. But what our intent should be, that we should use those words, we should try to enhance our daily skills so that we become more and more assertive rather than becoming aggressive or passive in nature. Okay, then if you are able to take responsibility for your own mistakes, if something went down, something went wrong, and you don't find people to blame so that you don't have to take the responsibility, that means you're being assertive. You know you did it, and you're ready to accept it, and you move forward with it. Okay, then if you're able to discuss your beliefs without judging anyone, that's also very important. If you start judging people, that means you're wearing some different shades to judge people. So judgment is you've left empathy out. So for assertiveness, empathy is a huge thing. Empathy is the other person is right, but I am also right. That is what assertiveness basically, revolves around. So if you can speak confidently in group discussions without getting agitated, without getting frustrated, that is also a way to find out whether you have been, following your, I mean, whether you're moving towards assertive behavior or not. So assertiveness is where you're able to compromise, where you know what you want, your non-negotiables, and you know your negotiables, and you're okay with them. People who completely have no non-negotiables are the ones who are aggressive. They would say, okay, मेरा कोई non-negotiable है ही नहीं, मुझे ऐसे का ऐसा ही करना है. Aggressive. Passive would mean मुझे पता ही नहीं है, आप जो कहोगे वैसा हो जाएगा. Passive behavior. That is not assertiveness. Assertiveness is clarity about negotiables and non-negotiables. And this applies to every place. It applies to your home, it applies to your personal relationship, your professional relationship. You need to know what is the bar, who crosses it, and when. Okay, so if you try to include assertiveness in your daily behavior, if you start using I more than you, if you start taking accountability and responsibility for everything that is happening in your life, is happening because of you, your actions, you will slowly and steadily move all your behaviors towards assertiveness. Okay, and you will see a drastic difference in the way any relationship around you is, I would say, blooming, because it really changes. When you give respect to others, you receive only respect in return. There is nothing else which comes. Okay, so Rahil has a question. He says, usually I get really stuck while talking, even though I know what I have to talk about. So, Rahil, I think again, this comes back to the same thing, that do you have the exact amount of content? If you know the content and you have the clarity, I think then you need to just practice to speak it out, because somewhere or the other, you are afraid of being judged, that what if you got wrong. That is the only barrier you can face, because I have seen this happening with people where they say that, okay, I know what the client is asking, I have all the answers, but when I have to present myself, I'm not able to speak up. So this happens because you know the answer, but you have a question mark on yourself, that am I having the right answer? So you are judging yourself, you are evaluating your own self. I'm not saying you should have foolish confidence that whatever comes to your mind, you speak it. But you need to be respectful enough towards yourself that you are able to speak up and present yourself. That is what I want to present to you, Rahil. I hope that answers your question. Minnie is asking, if I'm assertive about what I know and what I can do, would not that mean that I'm egocentric? Should not I be more modest? Ma'am, modest and egocentric are terms related where they are related to not your behavioral traits exactly. Modest is my way of dealing with things. Okay, I need to be modest to everyone is very similar to being assertive. The only thing I want to bring forward to what you're asking is, when you know what you can do is one aspect. When you know how you have to do it, that is also good. But while communicating this, if you degrade others, if you insult others, then you're right, you will move towards egocentric and aggressive behavior. So when we communicate, despite of the fact that we know everything, that's why the definition I started with, assertiveness means respect for yourself and for others. That is what is assertiveness. So being polite, even after knowing that you know the right thing, is a very difficult task. The easiest thing to do is to be aggressive when you know you're right. मुझे पता है तो मुझे सुनो, ये सबसे आसान है जो हम सब बहुत बार करते हैं. But the difficult part of it is that you know it and you're still presenting your points. The other person might not be assertive. There is a situation, there can be situations like these. Still, when you maintain your calm, still when you don't get frustrated, still when you don't get agitated, and still present your point without letting the other person get on you, hurt you, impact you, is what is the assertive behavior actually made of. That's how you will come out to be very assertive. Okay. So then Danish says, what is the difference between assertiveness and being confident? I think there is no difference between being assertive and being confident. Assertiveness is a trait that confident individuals will have, right? In last sessions we discussed, anybody who's aggressive is not usually confident. A confident person will never shout at the at the pitch of their voice. They would be very calm and composed because they exactly know what they're speaking. They don't have to use their high pitch to prove their words. Okay, so I hope I'm able to make out that assertiveness is a part of confidence. Confidence will come as an outcome of your assertive behavior. Okay, so if somebody who's assertive, they will usually come out to be very, very confident individuals. Okay, so in order to be assertive, if I say that at workplace, how do you how do you become assertive? So assertiveness is, like I said, it's a highly valuable professional tool that you can use. Assertive individuals are usually very strong communicators, and they are natural leaders because they are empathetic and they know. Okay, so these are two killer combination. So developing assertiveness at workplace will help you navigate so easily that everybody will be your fan, and you will be leader, and everybody will really enjoy talking to you. So how can you do that? So number one is set professional boundaries. Very simple. Maintain a healthy work life balance, knowing what is the workload you have and how to politely turn down the project without crossing that boundary. Okay, because I have also worked in corporate. I'm still working with a few clients which are corporates. So At times, corporates have very high hopes. They want you to work day in and day out. But this doesn't mean that you would do that. So, how would you assertively put that boundary is very difficult. But if you don't do it, you will be frustrated. And if you do it the wrong way, well, maybe you will be fired. So, that is where assertiveness has to be taken up. That how do you set that professional boundary where you are able to communicate, present your point without you know letting the other person feel that you have put them down. That is what is important. Then you have to be very polite, listener. Having great listening skills is an excellent tool to become assertive, because assertive communication is when you are able to listen very clearly, you exactly know what things to focus on, and your response will be actually what the other person would expect and you would say, because you will also take your needs into consideration. So if you listen politely, if you talk politely, if you have great listening skills, being assertive is completely easy. Then you have to always make very clear and detailed request. Do not expect people to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Blab it out. Blab it out. I repeat. We all our personal relationship strains, our professional relationship strains, they are usually an outcome of because I thought you would understand. Why should the other person understand? He has his own self to understand. So communicate very, very clearly. Give detailed request. If you're working in a team, you want some task to be done, you need to tell them. If you want a report to be made, tell them I need a 4-page report, 5-page report, this much of summary, this much of analysis. Tell them what exactly you are expecting them to do so that they are able to give you the exact outcome that you expect from them. And then things will not go wrong, because you tell them to make a report, they bring a 1-page report, and then you are out of your mind that I asked you for a report. Is the report ever 1-page report? And everything goes haywire. Okay, so be as clear, as detailed in your request. And usually, when we communicate, we say that, there is a hierarchy that we follow. When you communicate to people who work under you, that's your team members, you always give very detailed request. When you work with somebody who's at your level, at that point of time, very brief requests are easily understandable because you're both working at the same level. And when you communicate with your seniors, with them, you don't one number one, you don't give them instructions, and you give them very easy, quick to understand bites, because they have small time to look at so many people. So your information needs to be very crisp. You write a long mail to the top of the company, he doesn't have time to read that, right? So that is also a very important part of communication, which we usually miss. And next one is the last one, but very important one, which I feel is seek out opportunities for collaboration. Why do you have to take everything on your shoulders? Why? Because the only thing we feel is that people would take our credit away. So we want to do everything on our own, and then we get, frustrated for that. So having faith, building team, all these actually bring you back to your assertive behavior. And that is why we say that these are such important traits in order to do well in your professional life. Okay. Okay, so Vishishta is asking, how do I fire someone in the sweetest way possible? Uh, I think you have to be honest about the feedback. There is no sweetest way to do it, but being honest and being polite about the goals not matching, the value systems not matching, is a good way to let the person go. Because then they would understand that they would not go along with you, they would not grow along with you. So I think both of these together would give you a great result, I suppose. All right. So, any other questions, anyone? I don't know if you could relate to this topic on assertiveness, because we try to confuse assertiveness with so many other things. But if you could, somehow, if there's some question in your mind that you would like to ask, please go ahead and ask. And that's what I wanted to talk about on assertiveness. And this is not a small topic, it's a very long topic, and I'm going to keep talking about it in due course of time. It's a long one. I'll keep doing that. So if you have any questions, please put them down and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And if you have none, then I'll be catching you back in the next session. Meanwhile, if you have not connected with me yet on LinkedIn, please do connect with me on LinkedIn. And I keep dropping in some similar content on LinkedIn on career confidence and building a career that gives you the satisfaction that you always desire for, right? All right, so I think there are no questions for now. So I think let's call off for this session, and I'll be more than happy to see you all in the next session. Okay, so Ajay has a question. What is the best way to start with minimal experience? Um, Ajay, in what context are you talking about? Best way to start a job with minimal experience? Is that what you're asking? I need clarity on that question. And Chandrakant is asking how to develop structure of content. I think it depends on what is the goal of your content, who's the audience for your content. So it remains the same way. When I have to prepare for a session, I decide what is the end person whom I have to reach, what are the goals that I want him to be succeeding in, and then I build my content that what are the problems he must be facing for which I should be giving him answers. Okay. So, as a freelancer, Ajay, if you have to start, I think you have to first build your portfolio. That's how it works. Instead of, you need to set your non-negotiables. What is the minimum pricing with which you would like to work, whether you're willing to give some premiums. If you're ready to work with that, build your portfolio, work with diverse clients. You will know what is your credibility, what is the work that you do well, and then you will be able to command that particular niche. Otherwise, you would go haywire on that. I don't know if that gives you the answer that you're looking for, but the best way to start with minimal experience is do a lot of projects. So that is the only way, so that you experience more and you're able to judge yourself better. So that would give you some excellent inputs on how well you can carry on with the task. All right. Sure. Anything more that somebody would like to ask? I'll be calling this session off. And thank you very much for joining in today. And we'll be connecting back in another fortnight. And I'm going to bring you back another session of how to build your confidence at workplace. Till then, be assertive, respect yourself for what you say, and be empathetic, respect others for how they feel. Okay. Thank you very much for joining in today. It was great having you all. Thank you very much. Bye bye.